Hello and welcome everyone to Chirping Zebras episode 47, the Torrey Krug episode. Mark Riley, alongside as always, Gino Binda Jr., coming to you from AOA Studios in Beverly, one of the best places to tape a podcast or anything you're going to tape. Right off the hop, we want to thank our sponsor, the Referee's Crease. One-stop shop for all your refereeing needs. You get the quarter zip on tonight.
If you zoom in real quick, you can see the 17 and 22, but yeah.
Which was your number and your dad's number.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And right off the bat, like and subscribe on the YouTube. And also find us on the social medias, the Facebook, the Instagram, and of course, the TikTok.
If it doesn't get canceled or sold or what.
Yeah, no, we're good. We got to stay there. I just got 20,000 followers on my comedy, so we gotta keep it for at least another month or two.
Yeah.
You know, so I can get something out of that viral video I had. So 3.8 million views actually. So
that's pretty good.
Plug myself, MarkRileyComedy.com. Go give it a look. But we come off too. I mean, Becca Peasy was incredible. Don Koharski last week,
Coho's the best.
Have another donut, you fat pig. That was unbelievable.
I never mentioned it on an episode, but my father calls a donut a Koharski burger.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He goes, give me one of those Koharski burgers.
That's awesome. He was
I
great.
forgot to mention. I'm so pissed.
If you didn't watch episodes 45 and 46, check them out. Becca Peasy's amazing, and also of course
she was incredible. That story,
7
incredible
marathons.
athlete, Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah. I don't think we're ever going to have another Guinness Book of World
I don't know how
Records.
there's not a documentary made
She's got to have something made.
Well, we did. Ours. Check it out. YouTube, Chirping Zebras.
Yeah, that's right. Episode 45. That was the Pedro episode.
There you go.
And we want to jump right into it tonight.
Yes,
we have
absolutely.
an incredible guest. He's done 41 movies, a boatload of television.
And if you ask my mother, you know, he's one of those cops in all those TV shows.
Yeah, he typically plays a cop.
Yeah.
And a local guy done well,
Yeah.
a Southie boy.
Yes.
Kevin Chapman, welcome to the Zebras.
Thank you, Zebras.
Right on.
I don't know how you have a podcast about zebras and Kevin Chapman's name comes up, but here I am.
Well, you know, we go for all the names.
well,
That's what we need. We need the names. That's
I
what
thought
we
maybe
go
you were building an ark and needed a gorilla.
Well, whatever works.
I understand.
You know, whatever works. I mean, you're a hockey guy, and
I am.
and your
Love the
son
hockey.
was a hockey player. I
Yeah.
reffed him a bunch of times, and you know, and you're a Celtic guy.
Dorchester, actually. I grew up in Dorchester.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you
I
were.
lived in Salty for 20 years, but my great-great-grandmother
okay.
wasn't from there, so I'm not a Salty guy.
Yeah, there's a difference. 100%. Oh, yeah.
You're either from
That's
there
a
or you're
thing. Oh,
not.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I found that out when I moved there when I got married.
Yeah, you're a yuppie.
And they, no, this was back before yuppies existed.
Yeah.
And I was told you're either from there or you're not.
Yeah,
And,
right.
So
Originally, my family's from Hammond, Louisiana.
yeah, that's right. You said that.
So that's where all the Chapmans are, in the woods of Louisiana. a place where they think a Coke machine is magic.
We've been down there. It's true.
Yeah.
It is true down there.
It's a pretty unique place.
You think your life would have been a little different if you stayed down there?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you think you would have been doing?
I'd have been saying things like, y'all want some sweet tea?
You'd have been a cook at a Waffle House. That's awesome. But instead, you moved up here and became a pretty good TV and movie
A
star.
long ride it's been.
Oh, yeah.
It started at the halls of City Hall working for Tom Menino and just fell into it. And 25 years later, I'm still standing.
That's incredible. Yeah. Absolutely incredible.
Now, you working on a movie show now? Or?
Working on Bookie with Sebastian Maniscalco.
Nice.
On HBO Max.
All right, and that's in the, second season?
That's in the second season, so I don't come in until a week from Thursday. So what's that, 27th maybe? What's the date on that?
This might be dropping
Right around there.
Yeah, right around there. We'll be dropping it right there.
In 23rd, next Thursday night.
Okay,
Awesome.
so that would have been with this last week, I think. So by now you'll be in
My
a
character
couple.
would be the cliffhanger for that second season, and then we're go into the third season.
Now, I'm not a massive Sebastian Maniscalco fan of his stand-up, but that show is hilarious. I mean,
It's pretty funny. I mean, Chuck Lorre created 2.5 Men, Big Bang Theory, Mike and Molly. I mean,
yeah.
I think he knows what he's doing.
A little bit. When the money smelled like shit in the
right.
first season, that's what got me sold.
Yeah.
When he brought the money in it, and it smelled like shit, and she washed it and hung it up on the thing. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a pretty funny show. I mean, it's it's uniquely basically the premise of the story is these two street bookies who was trying to stay alive in the world of electronic gambling.
Yeah.
And all the the things that they have to do to try to stay in the game.
Yeah, and bookie is a kind of a lost art.
Yeah, without
this,
a doubt. I remember, you used to go in the Old Town Tavern. Remember Lefty? He was he'd walk in the back of the Old Town Tavern. He had the little bookie window in the back of the bar, and the guy had one arm. That's why they called him Lefty. And
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
and,
I know. I knew 1,000 bookies. They were all characters.
And you paid your bill.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You got a visit.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't want to get a visit.
You got the word. He's a deadbeat. Don't give him nothing. He's a deadbeat.
You don't want that nickname.
No, absolutely not. Now, you've been on a bunch of TV shows.
I have.
One of my favorites was Person of Interest.
Yeah, that was fun.
I mean the show itself was great, and it was different, the concept, but I thought you were great in that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
it was so I years ago did a show called Brotherhood on Showtime. That was
love that.
Yeah, my wife loved that.
probably
yeah.
one of the best
that.
shows that no one ever saw.
Yeah.
But and it was from that show that I ended up getting the job on Person of Interest. When I walked in, Jonathan Nolan, who's the creator of the show, brilliant guy. He went on to create Westworld.
Great show.
He has he has the show now on Amazon. It's about the video game. Anyway, brilliant. He wrote his brother's Christopher Nolan, who did Oppenheimer, and Jonah and his brother wrote the Batman trilogies. They wrote Dark Knight Rises, and they wrote Memento, Interstellar.
Wow,
brilliant guy. And when I walked in for the first meeting, he went, Freddie Cork, and I was like, okay, I know I got this job.
Our good friend Tony V,
Yeah.
who was on the podcast a while back, told me to ask you about Freddie Cork's 14-inch cock.
So a funny story. So we shoot this scene. So it was supposed to be symbolic of the biggest dick in the room. That was what my character was, to let everyone know in the pilot that I was the crime boss. I had the biggest dick in the room. So we shoot this at a yacht club. Now, HD, they just started shooting in HD. So Philip Noyce, who was a film director, created this black tent so that he could look at the HD monitors. So if there were any imperfections in the shot, anything, he wanted to be able to pick it up. So he was like in this tent. It was like a cave. But it was 100 yards downfield. And he had a microphone with a big, long cord that came out to a PA system. And he would give me direction over this PA system. So it's, it's like the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain,
That's wild. That's cool.
So it comes time to shoot this scene. We had just shot a scene prior to that. We're at this yacht club. Of course, locations never, they never booked a boat, right? So the scene is my character's supposed to be pissing off the back of this boat with this big appendage hanging out of his pants, right? And, but we don't have a boat. So I start walking around, and Mystic River had just come out.
Yep.
So I'm hoping somebody's going to recognize me. So sure enough, this guy recognized. He's like, "Hey, ain't you the guy from Mystic River?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Hey, can we use your boat?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, sure, come on." So we get on the boat. They give me this dildo prosthetic. I don't know. I mean, it's about 2 feet long.
You didn't have a boat or the 14-inch cock.
Yeah, exactly. I had neither. And they give me this hose. I got it hooked into like a pump tank, and a hose running up my leg, and I got this thing hanging out of my pants. And it's a beautiful sunny day in Rhode Island. There must be 300 people on the dock watching me shoot this scene as I've got this fire hose hanging out of my pants, right? And Philip Noyce is in this tent giving direction on the microphone. And the direction went like this. "No, Chappie, Grab it by the... No, more on the shaft. Grab the shaft. Push the head down. No, you're holding the shaft too high. Bring your hands back and then push the head down. There's like women out there with their kids and everything, and I'm just like, I've got this big dildo hanging out of my pants, and I'm like trying to get it right. And yeah, it was a long afternoon. It was funny.
Oh my God. Yeah, he didn't tell me the story. He said, "I'm not telling you. Let
pretty
Chappie
good.
tell you."
Tony was the best. You know, we would sit and we would sit outside of my trailer or his trailer, and we'd smoke a cigar, and we just Tony and I have known each other for a long time, and all of a sudden you'd hear over the radio, "Has anyone got eyes on Kevin?" "Yeah, he's sitting with Tony." "Could you ask him to come down to the set and grace us with his presence?"
Tony's the best.
Oh, he's the best. And then the bastard went on. His character tried to kill my character, and then the finale
right.
there, that bastard.
That's right. I do remember that. He talked about that. Yeah, that's awesome. And go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, when you get a script like that, do you read, like, you know the whole thing at the end, or there's sometimes it's like suspense, like you're not supposed to know until like you're shooting?
Well, you're shooting one episode, so you're just
Right.
getting that episode. You don't know what's going to happen in the next episode.
Oh,
you know what I
right.
mean? Like Person of Interest, we'd open our scripts like this, like, okay, am I dying? You know?
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, you just don't know, and that you don't, because lots of times the writers don't know where the storyline is going to go.
Right.
So what they'll do is they'll have a show, they'll have a premise for a show, but where they're going to take it,
Right.
They really don't know.
So, like, are you like an independent contractor almost? So it's like, okay, I'm signed up for this show and I'm on it, but then they kill you. And then
No, when you sign up for a show, you
like,
sign 6 one-year contracts.
Okay.
Right? So it's 6 one-year options.
All right.
So you work the first year. If they decide to kill you off, then of course you're done.
Right.
They have to pay you out for the year, and you're done.
Oh, that's makes sense.
And what you normally do is a lot of the networks. It's after the 3rd season is when they're really in the profit. So
Right.
that's where you'll see a lot of shows they'll renegotiate after the 3rd season.
That makes sense.
Which is, I have a funny story about. So after our 3rd season, we're we're in the top 10 show. We've got 15 million followers, every week, and the show's doing well. We in season 3, and they offer Michael Emerson and Jim Caviezel a 5% raise, which was a significant amount of money, but they didn't offer it to me. So of course I'm a little butthurt.
Yeah.
But of course the Dorchester in me kicks in,
Rightfully so.
and I go out and I buy 300,000 followers on Twitter for $168, right? And so I wait till the 300,000 followers are onto my Twitter, because I'm not a social media guy. I mean, I barely got out of high school, right?
That's all it costs is $168
It was
bucks.
$168
Sold.
for 300,000 followers,
That's
right?
insane.
But they only stay with you for like a week. You know what I
right,
mean?
but
I was going to say
so-
3 are real.
Yeah.
Oh, all
Exactly.
right. Okay.
So
You were saying, why don't we do that?
yeah,
No,
I only needed it for a couple of days anyway.
yeah.
So I get 300,000 followers for $168. I wait till they all kick in. Now my Twitter's at like almost 400,000 followers. And I call my agent and I go, "You tell those bastards over at Warner Brothers that I want that goddamn raise,"
Yeah, fucking
knowing that they were going to look at my Twitter.
Yep.
They looked at my Twitter, and for $168, I got over $200,000 raise.
Incredible.
that's a good investment.
What an investment.
That's a serious ROI. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's unreal.
Welcome to social media.
Now, was that for TV wise? Because you've been in so many different things. NYPD Blue. I didn't realize you were in one of those episodes.
I've
that was
done
my favorite show.
NYPD Blue. I did Boston Legal, Rescue Me,
good one. Another good
Sneaky
one.
Pete, Evil. I just did Chicago Fire. I don't know, maybe a month ago. I've done about over 200 hours of television. So
Chicago's Fire's been out for a while. That's
a good one.
That's a long time.
Chicago Fire was funny. So I did a movie called Ladder 49 with John Travolta and Joaquin Phoenix.
Yep.
So prior to principal photography, I went through the Baltimore Fire Academy for 4 weeks prior to principal photography. So which was Jay Russell was a director, and it was really a smart idea on his half, because what we did was when we pulled up to the fire, we all knew what our jobs were.
Right.
Right. So all he had to do was set up cameras and pick off the shots that he wanted, So you learned a lot about the fire service. And then I got to Chicago Fire and talking with some of the people, and I'm like, start talking about, fire, the fire service, and they're all kind of looking at me, and I'm like, you guys didn't go through academy or anything? They're like, no, we got a tech advisor over there, But
the prop guy's pretty good.
But I'll tell you a funny story about the academy at when we're doing the movie.
Travolta
and
do the.
we all did. Joaquin, Travolta, Balthazar Getty, Robert Patrick, Billy Burke, Jay Hernandez, Morris Chestnut, Kevin Daniels. We had a great cast.
Imagine being that
That's
instructor.
cool.
And it was funny. I pinned Balthazar Getty. He's the grandson of John Paul Getty. He's a Getty.
Yeah, wow.
I pinned him in a corner with a 2-inch line.
That's awesome.
But it was funny. So we're in the academy, and we have to go out a 6-story window on a belay and come down the side of the building. Now, I'm scared of heights. So we go up there, and the captain looks at me, and he goes, "You're scared, huh?" And I'm like, "I'm petrified." And he's like, "You don't have to do it." I goes like, "No, I'll go first." So a lot of guys, I won't mention names, but some of the other actors in the cast were a little nervous, and we saw how scared you were, and you went first, so we had to do it. You know what I mean? It was a real camaraderie thing, And it's funny. We all get together to this day. We've made that movie 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I was just out for the bookie premiere in the 1st December, and Jay Hernandez, Kevin Daniels, Jay Russell, the director, Robert Patrick, we all got together, went to Musso and Frank's, and whenever I'm in LA, we all get together, and we still, to this day, 20 years later, we still keep in touch. Morris Chestnut, I just talked to the other day. He's got a new show coming up on CBS. But anyway, so I have to go out this window on this belay, and I'm petrified. And I go out, and I come down the side of the building, and I get to the bottom, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I'm like, all right, I'm a man now. But now I have to go up to the roof and put my back to the world and drop off the roof and come down, right? So I'm the first to go down. So I'm the first to go up to the roof. As I'm going up, I see a dummy in the hallway. I grab the dummy, I throw it over my shoulders, and I carry it up to the roof. And I had turnout, we all had turnout gear with our names on it. One of the producers is down, he's talking on the phone, and I take my jacket off and I throw it on the dummy.
As soon as you picked it up, I was like, "Oh, he tossed it."
And I go, "Cap, I don't know, Cap, I'm a little nervous," and I whip the dummy off the roof, right? And the producer's on the phone, and he looks up and he's going, "Oh my God, call 911, call 911." There was an actual class in session down the bottom of the hill. The entire Baltimore Fire Department class comes running up the hill. The producer's like freaking out, right? Because they thought I had fell off the roof,
That's incredible.
And I looked over the side, and he's like, "I will send you home right now." I'm like, "You're an associate producer. You ain't got the juice.
Get a sense of humor, pal.
That's awesome.
Go get me a soda."
None of that stinking root beer.
But we had so much fun. We went to work in fires, and we went to a 15-story dwelling. They have in the fire service, you have these what they call high-rise bags, and the line is in a bag. And what you do is you go into a high-rise building, you see the standpipes that come down, right?
Yep.
So all you do is you go in your line, you tie it into the standpipe. That's like a hydrant that runs through the whole building. So it was a senior building in Baltimore that the fire was on the 9th floor. So we go up to the 9th floor with the high-rise bags. They're going to tie it in and knock the fire down. When they tied in, there was no water in the building. It was a public building. The standpipe leaked. Instead of repairing it, they just disconnected it.
Oh,
right?
Jesus.
So now you hear, "No water in the building." So everyone's running downstairs. So now coupling lines to bring it up. So now it goes from 9, now it's 10 and 11. Right? And the place is just, it's just rolling, you know? So they knock it all down, and when you knock down a fire, they do what they call overhaul. So they'll come in and, they'll move the brush around, pull whatever's hanging from the ceiling to make sure there are no hot embers that are still burning that can reignite the fire. And I saw this, I thought it was a mattress. And I got my turnout gear and my boots and everything, and I came that close to kicking it because I thought it was just like an old burnt mattress. And for some reason, something said to me, "Don't kick it." And then I looked again, and it was the victim. It was the guy who had fell asleep with a cigarette, and his mattress caught on fire. And I was just like, wow. And it just opened my eyes that like how really courageous these men and women are of the fire service. You know, of course, what's going on in Los Angeles right now, but I mean, throughout the country, you know, these guys see this stuff on a daily basis. And, you know, they're 24-hour shifts. In some departments, a 48-hour shift. And, you know, it's funny. I talked with some of the guys in the fire service, and like the toughest thing is when you see it's a child, and you still got 26 hours on your shift that you have to continue.
Right, you got
to. It was an incredible experience to not to bring this to a screaming halt here.
No,
but I mean, it's just people just don't realize. It just people think that these men and women are just riding around in a fire truck, putting water on put the wet stuff on the red stuff, and it's like what they see and what they experience is.
I mean, what's going on?
They are real American heroes.
I mean, what's going on right now in California?
Oh,
right?
California. I mean, look at 9/11. I mean, you can go on and on. I mean, look at the fires we had down on Beacon Street. We lost Michael Kennedy and I'm sorry, forgive me. I forget the other gentlemen's names that were lost in that fire. You know, it's like it's pretty powerful stuff. You know,
my uncle Warren Hardy was a decorated fire chief in Boston, and he had 2 medals of accommodation or whatever they give him. He saved people. He went in to a burning building. I don't know the whole story, but there was articles written about him, and I didn't know this till after he had passed away.
Right.
And I'm like, this guy was, like my father would say, oh no, he was the real deal. But I mean, I can't believe my nephew Joe is a firefighter in Dedham, and his calls are a little different in Dedham. There's not much going on, but it's amazing what they do.
You can't really say that because it goes on everywhere. I mean, it's like Dedham, Quincy, Braintree. I mean, every
I shouldn't say that
because those guys go and help out. Like, they're going to another town, right?
Yeah.
They're not just staying in Dedham. Like
but you even still like you don't know what's going to pop off in Dedham. You know what's going to pop off. You can be in the most rural. I have friends who are in the who are what they call volleys, volunteer firefighters in New York. And I mean they. And they're not even being paid. They're just they're doing it to just out of the kindness of their heart. And it's a pretty unique brotherhood and group of people.
Now I feel like a dick.
Yeah,
it's nothing going on.
You should feel like a
car
dick.
accident. I know I should.
Guy tells jokes for a living. He's fighting knocking the
tell
firefighter.
dick jokes. Yeah.
I know. Stick to dick jokes, Riley. Stick to dick jokes. Well, one of my favorite shows is Fire Country. I love that show.
Right. Billy Burke, who plays the dad in that.
Yes.
He was in Ladder 49. Well,
that's right. That's right.
Billy, Billy's
What's
a great
fascinating is like you guys to get ready for a role, you go through academy. Like that's the stuff that people don't know that actors do. You don't just show up and.
Mark Wahlberg does because he puts all over the social media is all the shit he does. But I mean, all the training you guys have to do to act in that role. I mean, it's almost.
It's like anything. I mean, when I did City in the Hill, I rode. I rode with Donald Keating from Old Harbor Projects.
Okay.
He was in the drug unit down in the South End.
Okay.
So I rode with those guys. Matty Flynn. I used to go ride along with those guys. We get down to J.J. Foley's and have some food at dinner time, and I mean that's. I mean, to be able to portray something, you got to know what the hell's going on,
right?
Or at least have an idea of what's going on. You know, you're not going to learn it in 2 months or a week or whatever, but just to have a handle on what it is you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
That's it's just cool stuff.
I got 2 nephews who are in the Mass State Police, and I have another nephew who's in a detective in Upper Darby, which is would be like the equivalent of Quincy to Boston, outside of Philadelphia, and they would break my balls all the time because I do play, I do get asked a lot to play cop roles and detectives, or I always say I'm going to write a book called Cops and Gangsters because that's what I always get asked to play a cop or a gangster, And, you know, I would walk in, you know, they're like, Uncle Kev, like, you're walking in like this with the gun. What are you doing, you know?
What do you do to prepare to be a gangster?
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother set of circumstances.
Now, what was your favorite TV show to work on?
Probably Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Brotherhood. Brotherhood was, because what I liked about the character of Freddie Cork in Brotherhood, it was the duality of the character, right? So you saw him, you know, you saw him killing somebody, and then you saw him taking his kids for a pizza.
Right.
So, like, you know, that world, right? You know, though they do, you know, horrible things to horrible people, but they still have like a family and stuff they have to deal with. You know what I mean?
It was a little Whitey Bulger-esque. I mean, in that Whitey, like, I mean, he was a complete animal and did a lot of horrible things. But on the flip side, he actually helped some people too.
Yeah, I mean, he did.
It was a weird thing.
I know a guy personally. I know a guy. You know, I lived in South Boston for 20 years or whatever, and I personally knew a guy who had cancer. He goes to his mailbox one night, and there's a card, a Superman card with 10 $100 bills in it that were put there by Whitey.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's stuff like that.
Right.
But I mean, I'm not, you know, pleading the case that he was a great guy. I didn't know the guy. But I'm just saying,
but that's the shit he did.
There's a sense of there's a sense of
character.
humanity, and there's you know, like I always say, nobody got killed coming home from church.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was like, if something happened, usually it was because they were involved in that world in some capacity. You know, but you know, it's like you knew those guys from around, and you know, hey, how you doing? And that was the extent of it. They went left, you went right. You know,
right.
Exactly.
I remember when I did Mystic River, I got a call from this attorney, and he says, "Hey, I got someone here that wants to talk to you. Can I put you on speakerphone?" I said, "Yeah, go ahead." And they put him on speakerphone, and all of a sudden they hear, "Hey, you little fat prick, you're out in Hollywood playing tough guy, huh?" And I said, "Who is this?" He goes, "It's Weeksy." It was Weeksy. He goes, "It's Kevin Weeks." I goes, "Hey," I goes, "You see me in Mystic River?" He goes, "Yeah, you were great." I goes, "I was doing you."
I'm good friends with his son.
Kevin's a great guy. I mean, like I said, I don't know anything about his dealings. I don't know anything about any of that stuff. All I can only base it on the way he always treated me, and anytime he's ever seen me, he's always treated me with nothing but kindness.
Same.
And you know, so.
He always breaks my balls about my Uncle Aldo. He's like, "How's your Uncle Aldo doing?"
Yeah. But
Mr. River was a great movie.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was unbelievable.
That was a lot of fun. It was, it was funny. So I do Mystic River. From Mystic River, I get Brotherhood. I'm in the middle of shooting Brotherhood. My agent gets a call from Clint Eastwood's office. He's doing Flags of Our Fathers, and he wants me to come to Reykjavik, Iceland, to play a Marine Corps lieutenant who storms a beach at Iwo. It was one scene, all the dead Marines on the beach, and I'm on a landing assault vehicle, and as I'm coming in, what is it, plane landing on us here?
Train. The train right outside.
There's a landing assault vehicle is storming the beach at Iwo, and all these dead Marines there, and the guy driving the landing assault vehicle says, I can't go. And I said, "You get me on this beach or I'll kill you myself." You know, he doesn't want to drive over the Marines.
Yeah.
So my agent gets a call. He says, "Hey, Clint wants you to come out to Reykjavik and play this role. We've already cleared it with Showtime. They're nice enough to let you go. You got 1 week to go out and shoot it." So I go out there, and there are only 3 beaches in the world that have the black sand. There's Iwo, there's a beach in Hawaii, and there's this beach in Reykjavik, Iceland. And it's really weird to see a beach with black sand.
Yeah.
It looks like mud, and then you pick it up, and it's sand.
It's sand.
It's really weird, right? So I get there, and the van drops me off at the set, and I come walking up the hill, and there's Clint. He's got his cover on, and he always kind of got a kick out of me, I think, anyway. And he looks at me and he says, "Well, hello, Chappie." And I says, "Hey, boss, how you doing?" I go, "Boss, I got this TV gig. It's great. It's in Rhode Island. I'm making all this dough. I'm having a bomb. I'm back in the East Coast." And you kind of forget who you're talking to because I spent so much time with him, you know. And he's just kind of looking there, and he's shaking his head, and he's like, you know, just kind of looking at me, and he doesn't say nothing, walks away. So they put me in the uniform, put me on this landing assault vehicle. They send me out to sea. Now, when I say the sea is violent, it is violent in Reykjavik, Iceland, right? I'm on the top of this landing assault vehicle. All my troop are down in the bucket, right? So I'm up on the deck, and the landing assault vehicle has a big cleat that it's in the middle of a big cast iron cleat so that they can hook it and pull it in if they need to. I'm in there with my arm through the cleat, trying to keep from getting blown off the deck because the waves are hitting the side of this thing, and this thing is just rocking, you know? And I'm getting drowned. Every wave it hits, I'm getting drowned. And we haven't even called action yet. And Clint's not a guy who he doesn't use a microphone, or he doesn't even say action. He just goes, okay, fellas, anytime you're ready, you know? And that's it. So I'm on this thing, and I'm out there, and I'm rocking, and I get seasick as it is anyway, right? And I'm trying to keep from getting seasick. I'm like, please, God, let me just get through this scene, you know? And all of a sudden, I hear through a bullhorn, hey, Chappie, how's that fucking TV show treating you now?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He was pretty funny.
How many times did you work with him?
Twice. I worked with him on Mystic River, and then worked with him on Fathers of Our Fathers.
That's unreal. That's like, it just blows your mind like that. Clint Eastwood. Like, that's Clint Eastwood.
Like, the man. You know?
Yeah. It was funny because when I got Mystic River, actually, I was living in Los Angeles. I had moved to Los Angeles. I was bouncing at the House of Blues on Sunset at night, and I was studying acting during the day. I knew that if I was going to have any real success, I had to develop a craft. So I studied acting every day, 5 days a week, and I would work at night at the nightclubs. And actually, I can't even call myself a bouncer because, you know, they would have great shows there, but they would bring in guys to do security. And even that, I kind of bullshitted my way because I had a friend, Bill Johnson, who I knew was tight with Target, the guy who started the House of Blues. Mm-hmm. And Bill was on the House of Blues Foundation. But I didn't know Bill, but we had some mutual friends. So when I went there for the job, I told them I was good friends with Bill Johnson, and they gave me the job, right? So I'm there working maybe 2 months, and, you know, say if a concert was at 8 o'clock, they would probably start me at like 5:30, but the concert was over at 10. I was out there 11, so I was making like, you know, $200 a week. I'm like, this ain't gonna get it. So I go into the director. They were having problems with the people in the community because people were coming out of the House of Blues and they were, you know, throwing beer bottles in people's bushes and whatnot. So I caught wind of this, and I went into the general manager, and I said, hey, I used to work in the mayor's office in Boston. I said, I was the mayor's liaison. I said, I could be the liaison to the House of Blues, to these people of this community for $600 a week.
There you go.
And he was like, sold. So they gave me some business cards and a radio, and I used to go across the street to the Comedy Store and sit out there and smoke cigarettes and talk to my now wife. She was my girlfriend at the time. She was back here, and I did that until I got a job working at this bar. I have a friend, Greg Dooley, has a band called Afghan Wigs. Okay. Greg was in Monument Ave with me, the first movie I ever did with Ted Demme.
Another great movie.
Directed by Ted Demme. And I was working one night, and Dooley used to call me Bubba. And he walks in, he goes, Bubba, what the hell are you doing here? I'm like, I got a yellow shirt on. What's it look like I'm doing, you know? So he made me the day bartender. He had bought this kind of hipster bar out by Dodger Stadium, and I became the day bartender. But the House of Blues was great because I saw so many great shows. I remember, like, I went to Ray Charles' 75th birthday party. It was held by Willie Nelson with, Billy Preston, and it was like all these it's just Neil Diamond and all these different people. Wow. Saw some great shows there. It was pretty cool.
Is that why Tony said to ask you about Aerosmith and Ringo Starr?
Oh, yeah. Well, I moonlighted. I have moonlighted with. I have a great passion for music, and I went on the road with Ringo Starr. 2 years ago, I went on the road with him. One of his tour manager works for Bruce Springsteen as well. So Springsteen was going on that 2-year tour, so he couldn't do it. So a buddy of mine got bumped to tour manager, and he made me his assistant. So I went out on the road with Ringo Starr for, I don't know, like 4 weeks or something. You know,
With a Beatle.
but I've known him a long time. I mean, I've known Ringo from L.A. for,
Yeah.
I mean, we're not calling each other on Friday night to go to dinner, but when we see each other, we're genuinely happy to see each other.
That's pretty cool.
And then the Aerosmith thing was because I've been in recovery a long time, and when Steven fell off the stage and did with South Dakota, and I'm not breaking anyone's anonymity because he put my shit in his book. I had to sign NDAs till the cows come home, and then I read his book. I'm like, he's fucking talking about me, that prick. Wow. That was in 2010. I went on a world tour with Aerosmith.
Wow.
And we started in Caracas, Venezuela, and went all through Santiago, Chile, Bogota, Colombia, Lima, Peru, Sao Paulo, Porto Alegre. We went to we hit every country in South America with the exception of Argentina, and then the reason we couldn't go there is because Metallica was there the week before us, and I guess the kids wrecked the place.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Checks out.
So and then we went from there over to the UK, and it was when I was on tour with Steven that I got the word that they wanted me for person of interest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we were staying at the Mondrian in Hyde Park in London, and I left to go do person of interest.
So when you're on tour like that, like what's your job? What's your responsibility?
My job with Steven was just to basically, be his guy. You know what I mean? Just to kind of, because anyone that's in recovery or anyone that's attempting to recover that has tremendous notoriety like that.
Right. Yeah.
Anyone, no matter where you go, you could go into a restaurant, right? You could go into, just pick a restaurant, the highest end restaurant in the world.
Yep.
And anyone that has any type of substance in that restaurant wants to share it with him because everyone's looking for their water cooler story.
Right.
Everyone wants to go back to work the next day and go, guess who I got high with last night? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was kind of like just the keeper of the gate. You know what I mean? I'd like, make sure
awesome.
he was okay, get him on the stage, make sure he had what he needed, and then, get him back to the hotel room. Whatever room he had, I was in the next room, But they're traveling with a rock band like that is
It's got to be crazy.
yeah, it's nuts. I mean, you think like I remember we were in Lima, Peru. We landed in a private airstrip, right? We're on a private jet all through the whole country, and we landed in this private airfield in Lima. We were all in a bus, and like a big, probably maybe like a 25. It wasn't like a complete, it wasn't like a Greyhound bus, but it was kind of like somewhere between a Greyhound bus and like a large, 15 passenger van. It was like maybe 25 people it held, and that's what you call a traveling party. And then all the roadies and everything, they go in. They travel by bus and they travel commercial. We're on a private jet. We go to pull out. We had bodyguards. We had these bodyguards they had these vests that said bouncer on the back of it. And we had so many bodyguards that we had to link them arm to arm around the bus. Because when we opened the door to come out of the airfield, there were so many kids there that we couldn't get the bus out. Like they had to make a human chain around the bus
Just to walk.
just to get us out of the gate of the airfield because there were that many kids standing in front of the gate, right?
Wow.
So we try to get out, and then we're like, this isn't going to work. So we back in. What are we going to do? They call. They get more guys. We come out. As we turn the corner, it was a long street that must have been, I would say, 200 yards long. And as far as the eye can see, these kids in Peru all had taxi cabs lined up, bumper to bumper, the whole way down the street, waiting so that when we came out, they could jump in their cabs and follow us to the hotel, right?
Wow.
But what was crazy is as we come out of the airport and we made the right onto the street, they were just coming up to the window of the people mover, and were just firing shots with their cameras. So you're in this like fishbowl, and it's just bing, 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 like. I mean, it was the most bizarre experience I've ever had. Just lights going off from the flashes on the cameras, lined up all the way around, and you're in the middle of this, and it's like every direction. It's just coming in through the windows, you know. And then we get out, and they follow us the whole way. We had these guys on like Kawasaki 250s, and they're like weaving in and out of the traffic to like clear the path for us. And
It's not like a movie.
We get to the it was like traveling with the Beatles in like 1960. It was crazy, right?
Right.
We get to the hotel in Lima, and they had the those steel riot barriers that they have like on the Esplanade for the concerts. They had 3 layers of those, right, to try to keep the people back, right? We all get in the hotel at night, like 3:30 in the morning or something. I get on my door. I open it. It's Steven. He's in pajamas, and he got his hair up in a bun. He goes, "You got any of those 8x10?" I had a bunch of 8x10 headshots made up of Steven. He goes, "Where are those 8x10s?" I said, "I got them right here." He goes, "Grab them. Come on." We went downstairs. He signed an autograph for every kid out there at 3:30 in the morning in his pajamas. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, because what they were doing, they were sleeping outside a hotel, and they were singing Aerosmith songs at the top of their lungs.
Wow.
And he goes, "Get those headshots. Come on, let's get downstairs." And we went downstairs, and I just handed them to him, and he, "Here you go, hey." And there must have been 300 kids out there. Signed a picture for everybody.
That is awesome.
And then we went up, and as we were going up the elevator, I go, "Steven, you realize it's 4 a.m, right?" And he goes, "Those people provide me the lifestyle in which I have." He goes, "And I will never forget that."
Wow.
And I was like, "That's the way it should be."
Exactly.
And nothing irritates me more than when you hear like an Amy Schumer or something going, "Oh, the fans." It's like, if it wasn't for the fans, you'd be saying shit like, "Welcome to Starbucks. How can I help you?" You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
I can never understand when I hear people talk about, the inconvenience of fans. It's like, you got to be a real asshole to do that. You know what I mean? It's like, you have the life you have because these people liked whatever it is you did, whether it was, sang a song or told a joke or a movie or whatever. It's like, even when I'm out with my family, I get recognized from people. I always have one. The only rule I ever have is my family will never take the picture. I'll be happy to take the picture. You can either have someone with you to take it, or I'll do a selfie. But don't ever hand the camera to my wife or my kids and ask to take a picture.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I ask. Like, I'm happy to do a photo, but my family's not here to take pictures of me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you want to take a photo, look, have your buddy do it, or get somebody walking by. Just don't ask my wife or my kids.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
That's reasonable.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I couldn't imagine with, I have friends who have tremendous notoriety, and I always say, I never want to get too famous. I can't go to the mall. I love going to the mall because I have friends who can't go to the mall.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yep. They're out there.
But it's pretty funny. I mean, it's it's like when I was out with traveling with Ringo, people see him and just lose their mind.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, And it's funny. We would go to Whole Foods because he eats very clean, and we'd go to Whole Foods and he'd wear a mask, and people would, he kind of shuffles around, He's been doing it a long time, 60 years. He's been dealing with the public, But I would, I don't care. All the tea in China. I don't think I would ever want that life.
Yeah.
That's a tough life. I mean,
it is.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's great. You have all the things and stuff, but to not just be able to,
Function.
go for a walk around your block. You know what I mean? Because people are losing their shit. You know?
Yeah, right.
So anyway,
Freaking Beetle. Now you mentioned recovery, and we had Kevin Stevens on an episode. I'm 19 years last November.
Oh, good for you!
sober,
Congratulations! Yeah.
So it's something that's important.
Yeah.
And how many years are you?
I just celebrated 33 last July. Wow. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's
thank
amazing.
you.
Congrats.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
It changed the course of my life, no, without a doubt.
Yep.
I say it all the time. It was like, that was the best decision I ever made in my life.
Yep.
It changed not only the course of my life, changed the course of my kids' lives. My mother raised 4 of us by ourselves in public housing. You know, we came in from Louisiana. We lived in the Mission Hill projects. It was me and my brother in one room, my 2 sisters in the other, and my mother on the couch when she wasn't working. You know.
Yep.
So you know, I know what that, and it's funny because my wife, you know, my wife is from Ridgefield, Connecticut originally, and she went to grad school at BC, and I met her. In my prior life, I worked for Tom Menino. I was the mayor's liaison for Dorchester, and I came in with his administration. So I worked for Tom Menino for almost 9 years. Wow. And he was a great man, and he was you know, he was a great guy. I used to drive him crazy.
One of my buddies was the liaison for Southie, Sean Regan. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. That was long. That was long after me, you know.
Yeah.
Because when it was me, it was Tommy Tinlin had.
Okay.
It was Tommy Tinlin had Southie, and Timmy McCarthy, who went on to become a city councilor, had Hyde Park, and Billy Meehan had Austin Brighton. He's now he's a orthopedic doctor at Children's Hospital. Nice. And he does he does sports related head trauma, which is I've gone to a couple of his lectures, and pretty. He's a pretty special guy. I mean, the stuff that he does for these kids is really it's quite amazing. But anyway, so you know, when I got into show business, I had never forgotten what it was like to work for a living. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, I definitely had done that. But yeah, the recovery stuff that definitely changed the course of my life, and you know, it was, you know, I was maybe 3 or 4 years sober when I went to work for Tom Menino. Yeah, I used to drive him crazy, the poor bastard. He used to fuck, you know. I used to do impressions of him. You know, I'm just out by saying, you know, it's very important. And we'd be in the staff meeting, and like, if he fucking sees you, he's going to lose his mind.
That is awesome.
It was funny. We went to, I was on the job maybe like 4 weeks or something. And I was working at Nick's at night, and I was working at Nick's at night prior to getting the job. And there was a shooting or something up in Cobman Square. So the mayor was like, get everyone together and, you know, find out Reverend Wall and see what the hell's going on. And so there was this guy, Bob Edwards, who was the Caribbean liaison. Then there was Ramon Suarez, who was the Latino liaison. Diane McMahon was a Vietnamese liaison. So we're all going around the room. And when they come to me, I said, I'm Kevin Chapman, the mayor's overweight liaison. Right? So just kind of, I was just trying to break the tension in the room, right? Yeah. Well, don't you know, somebody thought I said all white liaison. I ended up I'm in the Herald the next day, right? The mayor's like, who the fuck is this guy? Yeah, it was pretty funny. But he was a good man. Tom Menino was a great guy, and even when you know, I left, and you know, it was towards he was sick, and he was doing some publicity stuff in New York for his book, and he was at I forget what university. I think it was NYC. And his daughter called me. He said, my father wants you to come down. So I was living in Queens at the time. I was shooting Person of Interest. So I went down and got to see him, and he signed a book for me and stuff. He was a great guy. I miss him.
Yeah. I think your impression might rival Greg Murphy's.
I was going to say, Greg Murphy's is pretty good, yeah.
He did his on the podcast. So we've had 2 now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, he was a great guy. He used to lose his mind with me. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing for me, Chapman?
Yeah. Oh, shit. So now, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little hockey.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is this is the stuff that I was looking forward to. You know, the stories about the TV and the movies and stuff. And I'd say who was famous. You name Ringo Starr. I don't think you can get
Clint Eastwood.
Who was your favorite actor to work with?
2 I have. Sean Penn and Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Joaquin's a great guy, and Sean Penn, I think, is. I did Mystic River with him, and then I ended up doing Peace and 21 Grams. So I get a call from. So his assistant at the time was Tyrell Ventura, was Jesse Ventura's son.
Oh yeah.
And so I get a call from Tyrell, and he says, Shawnee wants you to come down to Memphis to play his college roommate in 21 Grams. So I'm like, all right. So we just had my daughter, and I was just home. I was gone. So my daughter was born in June of 2002. I get Mystic River September. I shoot that till December. I come home for a month. I get Lad of 49. I don't come home till June, right?
Wow.
I walk in the door. My daughter's like, who's this guy? Right? So I was just home with my wife and kids and stuff, and Chirel Ventura calls me up, and he goes, hey, Shawnee wants you to come play his college roommate in 21 Grams. So I'm like, all right. So my wife goes, go. So I jump on a flight. They go, there's a ticket waiting for you to LAX. I go to LAX. I get on the plane. I go to Memphis. Alejandro Utu was the director. Alejandro did, I did the Covenant with with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yep.
I mean, he's like, and that's the thing I get excited about. Like, I don't get so much excited about working with actors. I love working with monumental directors. I mean, I've worked with Clint. I worked with Tony Scott. I worked with Alejandro. I worked with Walter Hill, who did The Warriors. And 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy. And, so I love working with those guys because I love I love to see their styles and I love I love the nostalgic aspect of it as well, So anyway, I fly to Memphis. Sean goes, look, he goes, there's no time to get you a trailer and stuff. He goes, so you and I are just going to room. He goes, I got a 2-bedroom suite. You can have one side, I'll have the other side. He goes, and we'll share a trailer. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm only here for the one scene. So I land in Memphis, walking through the airport. I look over at the magazine rack there, and there's Clint Eastwood's daughter on the cover of Penthouse. On the cover of Playboy. Right? Clint Eastwood's daughter's on the cover of Playboy, right? And I'm like, and like my curiosity, I'm going like, but then I'm saying to myself, like, I'm a big fan of her father's. He's such a great guy, you know what I mean? But I'm looking at the magazine and I'm kind of like, man, she is beautiful, and it's Clint's daughter. I'm like, fuck it, I'm getting it. So I grab it. So I tuck it under my arm. We're staying at the Peabody Hotel. We go up, knock on the door. Tyrell opens the door. He's like, you're in there, Shawnee's on the phone. So I go in my room. Sean's in this room over here. And I yell over, Shawnee! And he goes, I already seen it. That's all I said to him. I just went, Shawnee! He goes, I already seen it. Pretty funny.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. Oh, man.
But yeah, I love working with Sean. He's people ask me about. I actually brought him in The Quiet Man twice.
Oh, no shit for tips.
For tips.
Unreal.
Yeah.
The best tips.
I brought him in The Quiet Man.
God rest
it was
that
a funny
place.
story. So he's like, let's go on. I go. You want to see Salty? I go, come on, I'll take you to Salty. I go, I'll take you to real Salty. So I take him to Quiet Man. I shuffle him in the side door. We sit in that corner, that corner table down the left there, right? He's like, these are unbelievable. These are unbelievable.
Best steak tips around ever.
Best steak tips around, okay?
Yeah.
These are steak tips that are kept in the basement, okay? In the cooler down in the basement. Now, to bring the steak tips up from the basement, you come up the stairs and walk through the fucking men's room with the tray of steak tips. I mean, you tell people that, they're like, no way. That long. Yes, this is like the steak tips came up through the fucking men's room, right? I mean, and when I say men's room, it wasn't even a men's room. It was, you walked in the bathroom, there was a sink, and there was
stall.
a shitter.
Yeah,
it wasn't a stall. It was a shitter
right.
like in your house, right?
You're right.
So you'd be in there hanging a deuce, and the guy would come walking up with the fucking steak tips. There wasn't a fucking wall or nothing.
And they weren't covered.
And they were, they weren't covered. No. It was just one of those tin buckets full of fucking steak tips, and you're in there.
Down there marinating for weeks.
But they were amazing.
Yeah, they were.
Best steak tips.
Yeah.
So I bring Sean in there. So he's all the way home. He's like, these are fucking, that was unbelievable. That was unbelievable. He says to me, why do you guys always ask about each other's mothers? I go, because we know them.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it never really dawned on me that we do that.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You know, you see people like, hey, how's your mother? How's your sister?
Yeah,
you know
you're
what I mean?
right.
He goes, why the fuck do you guys always ask about mothers and sisters? And I go, because we fucking know them.
Right.
He's like, but why do you care? I go, because we fucking know them. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Because they
but
feed us, take care of us.
To hear
Yeah.
somebody from the other side of the, he grew up in Malibu.
Yeah.
So to hear that from him, it was kind of like, you didn't, that's when it really hit me. I was like, wow, that's,
Yeah, we do that.
But so now Saturday, my wife's flying in with my daughter. Sean was married to Robin Wright Penn at the time. She's coming in with the 2 kids. Sean calls me up. He goes, your family get in? My wife was coming in on a red eye. He's like, family get in? I was like, yeah. He goes, your family get in? He's like, yeah. He goes, hey, can we go back to that place for steak tips? That's awesome. So I bring him, Robin Wright Penn, and his 2 kids there, right? And Robin Wright Penn is like, what the fuck is this, right? The salad in the little shitty fucking bowl that they served it in.
Oh, yeah, the brown bowl, yeah.
I mean,
That's a good salad, too.
It was just a fucking head of lettuce in a brown shitty bowl with 2 slices of tomato on it, Enjoy your salad,
And maybe a cucumber.
Yeah, it was, and Sean's going the whole time. He's like, isn't this great? And she's like, what the fuck are we doing here, Pretty funny.
That's unreal.
It was cheap, too.
And no one noticed them.
No, I mean, they did, but, I brought a lot of people in there like that, people
Boston leave celebrities
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah, they didn't give a fuck.
Like I saw Steve Carell at Target,
That's right.
and I just hit my wife. I just pointed, and she goes,
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's just a different job. That's all. It's fucking different than you and I.
Right.
They just they just have a different occupation. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the thing I loved about Sean, getting back to the topic, is the thing I love about Sean is he always put his money where his mouth is. People would always ask me all the time, like, what's he like? His fucking politics. And I'm like, yeah, his politics can be polarizing for some people. But you know what? Like when Katrina happened, that guy was down there in a boat fucking digging people off out of the water and pulling people off the roofs. When, the earthquake in Haiti, he was the only guy in Haiti that could make something happen. The UN couldn't even make anything happen down there because of the piracy and the gangs and stuff.
Yep.
And Sean was the only guy that could make it fucking happen. He was like, look, we need this. We need to get this medical supplies. And he's just, when the COVID happened, he started that Core Foundation. He was doing free testing. I mean, he's a guy that's like, I don't know that he has any formal education, but he's one of these guys that, he doesn't just have a conversation with heads of state. He'll lead the conversation with heads of state. He's so fucking knowledgeable. He knows what he's talking about. He's, whatever he's passionate about, he's done his homework. He's not one of these guys that comes in half-cocked and if he's arguing a point, he knows that point inside out and upside down. You know what I mean? Right. So and I loved, and the other guy was Joaquin, who I just, Joaquin Phoenix is the most amazing guy, and he's got a heart of gold. He would do anything. If he calls you friend, it's like sky's the limit. He's just the greatest guy.
Incredible
and he's a guy that I could bring him in here right now. He would sit down. He would sit with us bullshit, right? But once you said, I loved you in, he wants to go.
Really?
Yep. It's like he'd sit down and hang out and laugh and whatever. But once you put him in a different place, like, oh, you were great in this, or you were, he's like, all right, let's go. Come on, I got to go.
Really?
He doesn't want to be that. He doesn't want to be that. He's like, I'm an artist. This is what I do, but I'm no better than you, or, I'm just a man, I remember we were standing in line. We were shooting Ladder 49 in Baltimore, and we were standing in line to go see Martin O'Malley, Martin O'Malley at the time was the governor of Baltimore, went on to become at the time was the mayor of Baltimore, went on to become the governor of Maryland, and then ran for president. Right. So Martin O'Malley had this band called O'Malley's March, and they played he thought he was like fucking Bon Jovi or something. I don't know. The guy, he's the mayor up there. He's in like a cut off sweatshirt, singing fucking, and everyone was like, oh, he's the greatest, Governor. He was a nice guy. I liked him. He was a very nice guy. He was always very kind to me. But I just thought it kind of funny that the mayor is up there, like fucking throwing guitar picks in the crowd. You know what I mean? And so we go with St. Patrick's Day. He's playing at the House of Blues in the Hard Rock Cafe down in the waterfront in Baltimore.
Yep, good spot.
So we're in line to go in, right? I'm with Joaquin and Baltazar Getty, somebody else. And we're in line to go into this into the place to see him. And there's fucking 100 people in line. So the doorman comes out and he spots Joaquin and he's like, "Oh, you guys come on." He grabs us, brings us up, shuffles us in. We sit down in the booth. Joaquin goes, "The doorman thought we were firefighters. That's why he let us in." I go, "No. He let us in because you got nominated for a fucking Academy Award in Gladiator last week." But in his head, he actually thought, that he thought because we were always wearing Dickies and, the chinos and stuff. So he thought, "Hey, these guys are firefighters." I'm like, "No, you just got nominated for Academy Award for fucking Gladiator a week ago,
That's amazing. That tells you what a great guy.
Oh, just
I mean, and like Sean Penn doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
You didn't hear about that.
No,
he doesn't do it and say, "Oh, by the way, I'm heading to Haiti or I'm going down to Katrina." He just does it.
Yeah. No,
And
I mean,
that's the stuff that makes him special.
he went down to fucking interview El Chapo. That's how they found El Chapo, right? I mean, how many guys get on a plane to go interview the fucking? I mean, you gotta have balls this big to get on a plane.
Not a chance in hell.
Yeah.
Go down. I'm gonna get in a plane. Go down in the jungle, right?
Find this guy.
And this guy's fucking killed 12 people at lunch. You know what I mean? And interview him. You know what I mean? It's But great guy. Both great guys, great human beings. And I've worked with a bunch of other people that I really enjoyed, but those by far are my two favorite.
Yeah. Now, hockey-wise, I mean, you played a little.
I just played, like everyone else, youth hockey, and I never played at any high level or anything like that. But I love the game. I was at the Bruins game last night, and back in the dark years, as I like to refer to them, I was, one of the only non-members of the team that got invited to the breakup party. I was like the court jester, But I mean, I love the game. I've been a Bruins fan for as long as I can remember, and I had season tickets for forever, and I gave them up during COVID because my kids were getting older and they were off doing their things, and the real reason they added another 500 seats to the Garden. It's like you sit there now. It's like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. You know what I mean? I mean, I've been around to I think I've been to every stadium with the exception of maybe Buffalo. Maybe Buffalo.
Yeah, the new one's nice. Yeah.
But you go to some of these stadiums, like, wow, this is how hockey should be viewed. Fucking Jacobs got you, they got you stuffed in there in a fucking shoehorn and handing you a fucking $30 hot dog, $18
beers,
you know what I mean?
$20 beers.
And and they went to the cashless program
yes
too, right?
Yeah.
So what's hard for me, and not to sound like a cheap prick, right? But I go there and I get a fucking overpriced hot dog as it is, right? And then I'm giving my credit card. The guy recognizes me and he's like, "No tip." You know what I mean? And you're like,
right.
And I'll give you fucking $3 for this $14 fucking hot dog,
Right.
But I went last night, actually. I've always been a huge supporter of the Bruins, and I don't miss a game. I love it. I love it.
And your son played.
My son played at BC High. He went to BC High, played.
Regina played.
And till his sophomore year, and then he focused on lacrosse, and he's now playing at Babson.
Nice.
And my daughter just graduated from Ohio State last year.
Oh,
The Ohio State University. And she works for Congressman Lynch.
Oh, wow.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Another Celtic guy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Great guy.
He's awesome. Yep.
Yeah, she did an internship for him her junior year. She interned in his office, and then I guess she did a great job because when she graduated, he was like, I want you on my team. So she's been there now probably about 8, 9 months, something like that.
Stephen Lynch, every year, the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Celtic used to always get out and give my grandmother a big hug. Like, all the politicians did. Every single one. Like, Mary Benda. And, like, speaking of Menino, he gave my grandmother was like the lady of the year or something, and he gave like a big speech at the Boys and Girls Club about her.
Oh, really?
And like she used to always go to like sit there and take notes and everything, saying like, "Who's this lady? What's she doing?" She's like, "I'm holding you your word."
Yeah, no, we love hockey. My son teaches hockey. He works for Steph O'Sullivan, Hockey there, you know.
Oh, yeah.
He's been working for Steph for years, and he teaches the little guys. He loves it.
Does he want to start reffing?
I don't know if he has any. That would be tough for him though, because he's getting ready to go into season with lacrosse.
Right.
So I think the first game is like the 15th or something like that of February.
Tell him to get his patch right, and then at least he has it, and then you can ref in the like it's year round.
Paul Stewart had said that to him because I know Stewie.
Oh yeah,
Stu
Cat.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Stewie used to say that to me all the time. Like, hey, kid, come on, I'll teach him how to ref.
Yeah, we'll get him out there.
I said, yeah. Stewie was the only ref, though, that thought the people were there to see him and not the players.
As I say, no one loves Stu more than Stu. Just ask him.
Yeah. He's the best, though. I love Paul, and anytime I see him, you know, I light
Big
up.
heart,
but,
man.
yeah, he fucking, you know, guys fought everyone. Stan Jonathan, Terry
Beat
O'Reilly.
cancer twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beat cancer twice.
Yeah. Episode 2 on Chirping
Yeah.
Zebras. You our first guest.
He used to go. I remember him telling me when he was doing something with the KLH over in
KHL,
KHL over in Russia, and he's like, "Yeah, I was with Putin last week," and you know,
Oh yeah,
I told a
check
couple
out episode 2. He tells the Putin story. Yeah.
Matter of fact, we put that on one of the reels from the year in review show.
Yeah.
He told the Putin thing. Where
Well,
are you from?
I'll tell you a
Russia?
funny Putin story. So I'm out with a bunch of guys one night. We go to Mistral, and one of the craft boys lives in the area there. You know, I don't know that he's a craft. We go to the house, and I love cigars. I'm an avid cigar guy, and there's these boxes around, and I don't even know who this kid is. There's these boxes around. They look like humidors. So it's a summer night. The windows, the doors are open, and a nice breeze coming through, and it's like 2 a.m, and fucking everyone's doing their thing, and I'm like, I'm gonna grab one of these cigars out of this box and go out on that porch and smoke it, and they open it up, and it's a Super Bowl ring, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Then I go over there, and there's another one, and then I go over there, and there's another one, and I'm like, yeah, and I go, who the fuck is this kid? And they go, he's a craft, you know. So I'm like, oh, so. The phone rings. It's like 2 a.m. Phone rings, and he's like, shh, 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 be quiet, be quiet. And he picks up the phone, and he fucking knew what he was doing. It was his father calling him from the plane when Putin stole his ring.
No shit.
Yeah. His father was pissed. He goes, he put my ring in the pocket and walked away.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, I had no idea who he was, and then I was like, all right, I'm out of here, and I ended up leaving shortly after that.
No cigar.
Yeah, no cigar.
You should have taken a ring.
Yeah, right, yeah. You know, as a matter of fact, on my phone, I have a picture with me with 3 rings on like this. I got the 3 rings on.
That's awesome.
Should have put one in your pocket and walked
Right?
out.
Yeah.
Now, by the time this drops, it will already have happened. But Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Come on.
No, I know who you're cheering for.
I mean,
and I know who you're
really?
going to pick, Ohio State.
What do you mean? Did you not see that defense? This guy working the camera knows what I'm talking about, right? OH.
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 Mike.
OH, you're supposed to say IO. You're not that big of an Ohio guy. You're a half a fugaze. OH.
No shit.
All right, there you go. You're in.
Mike from AOA Studios, our producer extraordinaire, and does all our editing and stuff.
The defense, Jack Sawyer's. You see that play against Texas. First of all, hats off to Texas. Look at their path, though. Look at the path, right? They had to beat Tennessee.
Yep.
They had to beat Oregon, right?
Yeah.
They had to beat Texas.
Yep.
Right? They had the toughest path out of any team.
No question.
Yeah, and I think.
And they made short work of Oregon.
And you know what? Hats off to Notre Dame. They got a great coach. They got a great program. I I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up with that defense.
Nope.
That defense is lights out. Yeah.
Ohio State could beat, I'd say, 3 or 4 NFL teams.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean,
the defense, I'm really curious to see what this kid Jack Sawyer does when he, goes to the NFL.
Yeah.
He was an incredible college player. And yet, as you know, it doesn't always transition. I mean, you have people, there are a number of people we can go on and on that have tremendous college careers and then go in to the NFL, and it just doesn't transition.
$1 million bust.
And then, not only just in football, in any sport, in basketball and hockey, and pick a sport. My nephew played baseball at Merrimack. He's the all-time hits leader at Merrimack. Broke the record all-time, and didn't even get a cup of coffee with anyone in Major League Baseball. Wow. You know what I mean? They wanted him to go to fucking Poughkeepsie or something for $20 a week or something. And he's like, I got my master's degree. I'm going to go to work, thanks.
I saw someone down the Southern Pro League. He has a Harvard education, graduated, played Harvard, right? Yeah. And I'm working a college game, so they had played the college game in the afternoon, and then the pro games at night. So the next day I see him. He got in a fight. His nose is taking a left. I go, how's that Harvard education doing? I'm like, holy fuck. I'm like, you're fighting in the Southern Pro League, which is like the fourth, fifth, like whatever. Nobody's getting in the NHL from there, right? No.
There's a kid that lives in my community that played at Brown, and he played down there. He told me a story. He goes, the coach was always kind of pissed that he went to Brown. You know what I mean? He sends me out for a face-off. He's playing in the middle. He sends me out for a face-off. He goes, I look to the right, I see a fucking goon. I look to my left, I see another goon. I'm like, oh, this is not going to end well. He goes, as soon as they drop the puck, fucking bang! Broke my nose.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for coming.
He goes, the coach set me up. He goes, he was pissed the fact that I had an Ivy League education. The kid works in finance now, makes, fucking shit tons of money. But
way more than that coach.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Right? Yeah. That's unreal. Well, by the time, like I said, this drops, Ohio State will already have celebrated a championship. So
yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I'm expecting a really good game, and I think, like I say, I think the Irish is a great program, and I think they got a really good team. But I think
too much.
I think the Buckeyes are going to be a little bit too much for them.
What do you think about Mike Grable?
I think it's great.
Yeah,
I like
it too.
I think it's great. I actually predicted it. Soon as Mayo got fired, I said to my son, I goes, Rabel's going to be the next coach.
Yeah.
I honestly believed that if Ryan Day didn't turn things around like he did this year, because after the loss to Michigan, people in Ohio were like, we need to get rid of him. You think Boston, Boston fans are fickle. In Ohio, it's especially
against Michigan.
You need to beat Michigan.
Yes.
And I always said that. I said, if Ryan Day doesn't survive this season, I always thought Vrabel would be the guy that they would bring in. But I'm really excited. I think what do I know? I wear makeup for a living, but I think I think Mike Vrabel's going to be. I think he's going to do great things for the Pats.
Yeah, he's a leader. He's an
Kraft,
athlete.
They need horses though.
Yeah.
They got to get Drake May horses.
But the Kraft family of all. Look what they've done with that organization. The Krafts, have done a remarkable job with that organization. They when they bought that team, it was first of all, the stadium was a shithole. You know what I mean?
Falling apart.
And
and they were going to move to Hartford.
And he treated
Victor Kiam.
I don't know if he was ever gonna. I don't know if he was ever gonna move it, but
it was a threat, though.
It was a threat. I think it was. They're seeking leverage, but Bob Kraft's he's a brilliant businessman, and I think the Krafts have done a really tremendous job with that organization, and made it what it is.
Just don't drive your Bentley to a strip mall to get a massage.
Yeah. Look at it. He don't even want to pay retail for pussy.
That's why he's a billionaire.
Guy's a billionaire. He could have this shit flown in. He's fucking, he's getting fucking $70 fucking hand gallops at the fucking strip mall,
Fucking cheap prick.
He's like,
that's why he's a billionaire.
I pay retail for nothing.
That's awesome.
Fucking incredible.
Unreal. So, what's your favorite sport to watch?
Oh, hockey without a doubt. Yeah, hockey. Yeah, I'm like I said, I don't miss a Bruins game. You know, I just got back from Florida with my family, and the plan was we were going to go to the Tampa game on Thursday night, and then go down to play the Panthers on Saturday afternoon, and then drive up. But you know, the weather kind of got bad. My son and I were going to play golf the whole way up, and the weather got, it was like 52, and I was like, buddy, let's just get out of here. So we bailed. But I don't miss a game.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Go Bees.
And of course we're Chirping Zebras, so we talk about refereeing. Your take on refereeing?
I think refereeing. I think that I think the referees in today's games, they're I think, first of all, I think Chris Rooney is the best referee in the NHL.
No question.
I think he is the most consistent. I just think he does a tremendous job. And whenever I see him on the ice, I know that the game's going to be called right, for better or for worse. You know what I mean? Whether the call's against us or for us, I know that it's going to be done right. You know, as we were talking about earlier, it's like, nothing makes me crazier than when you see a call made in the first period, and then the same series of events happens in the second period, and it doesn't get called. Yeah. And it's like, but you just called that in the first period. You know what I mean? And it's just the inconsistency. It's just mind-boggling.
Yeah. No, it drives us crazy too.
Yeah, but you had when we got kids coming up, you had like Kohorsky and Stewie, and
you had characters, right?
You had referees, Frazier. You had these guys. They knew.
You knew what you were getting when you had those guys on the
You were like, oh, not this guy tonight because he calls a tough game, and he, you know what I mean?
Right.
You knew who the refs were because by the way that they set the tone of the game. Kerry Fraser wasn't taking no shit from nobody, and he was like fucking this big. You know what I mean?
He's actually supposed to come on.
Yeah,
we'll get him.
Talk to him a couple times.
And Stewie, you know what I mean? Stewie. I remember Stewie. I remember seeing a guy one time. He took a stick. The goalie keeps his water ball on the back of the net, right? And he took a shot off the post or something, right? They blew the whistle, went in the stands, right? And as the kid went by, he hit the back of the net, and the water bottle popped off the net. Stewie made him fucking turn around and pick it up.
Yes.
He goes, go pick that up. Pick it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, those are referees. Like
that's referee.
They had command of the game. You know what I mean? Like you see these guys now. It's like last night. I forget who got buried last night from the Bruins. In the third period.
It was Kepke.
Yeah, Kepke
took the hit in the head.
Yeah, took a hit in the head.
We talked about it.
Right? They call 4 minutes, right?
No, they called a major.
Yeah, they called a major.
And then looked at it.
And then came back and said no penalty. Yeah.
It
should have been a minor.
We watched the video this afternoon.
I like the no major on it, but
no major, but it should have been at least a minor.
Should have been a minor.
Should have been a minor penalty.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a major.
But to go and say it's a major and then turn around and go, there's no penalty.
Felger or Mass today were talking about he should have been suspended. Like they're talking about suspending this kid. I'm like, he's stepping up, making a body check. It wasn't like he came up high.
Radio. There's so many fucking experts in this town.
Oh, right. Especially in hockey.
I used to love these nitwits to be on here like, Bill Belichick needs to do it. When Bill Belichick speaks, you should just shut the fuck up and listen. That's what you should do.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like
ripping Tom Brady for shit.
Yeah,
it's Tom Brady.
You know what they need to do? They need to get, it's like you need to fucking find a hobby and get out of your mother's basement,
Right.
It's so funny. I used to get so upset. I used to get so upset when I would read like a blog, or like specifically when I was doing Person of Interest, because it was a technology show, right? So you had all these guys who were really astute in social media and blogging, and and everybody had an opinion, and I used to read it, and I'd be like, this motherfucker said this about me, like the fucking Dorchester me kicks. I'm like, where's this motherfucker live, right? And then I had a friend who was a very successful actor, and he said to me, he goes, why do you let that shit bother you? He goes, that's some troll who's 40 years old, lives in his mother's basement with a laptop. He's like, why are you letting this guy bother you?
Yeah.
And I was like, when he put it like that, I'm like, fuck that guy. I never looked at it again.
I can't. I don't look at when I refed. I never looked at social media. Like my wife early on, like when we were dating, she used to send me like, "Oh, your name was in the Twitter," and I'm like, I don't want to read that. This guy sucks at him, and you look, and it's like a 14-year-old kid, and you're like, all right, that's nothing, right? Like you can't. But it's that psychology of reading it, and it's just like you can't help it, so you don't read it.
It's like it's only human nature. I mean, you can walk into a room and 100 people tell you you're great, and one guy would say you suck. Yes. All you think about is that one guy who said you sucked the whole ride home. You know what I mean? Right. You don't think of the 100 people who are like, "Yeah, you're fair, you're awesome." You know?
Right.
Well, that's like you did comedy. Tony said, ask him about when he did comedy. But that's the same thing. You're up there, and there's 5 people out of 500 not laughing. And I got pissed off. I think I've told you the story. And we were doing a big show in Canton with Gav. Mm-hmm. One table wouldn't laugh. The other 350 people were dying. Yeah. And I got off the stage and I was pissed. And I'm like, table fucking 10. Yeah. And Gav said, "What are you, crazy? There was 350 people laughing. You don't care about them 10?"
And as long as that 10, they checked in and bounced, what do you give a shit?
Yeah, no. And after he said that, I was like, yeah, why am I focusing on the people aren't laughing?
Right.
Focus on the ones that...
All I cared about was my supervisor, my boss that day was happy with the, with what I did. That's all you really cared about. One or 2 people in your partner.
Do your supervisors, do they review your games or only when there's a questionable call?
Well, no. If you have a supervisor in the building, they come down, they'll break down the whole game with you, give you some pointers, good, bad, and ugly.
But I would imagine you would only have that luxury when you were in a playoff game, right? It wouldn't be like just a regular divisional game. I mean, I would imagine. I mean, there's only one supervisor, or maybe 2 or 3 supervisors for however many.
Exactly. You're not at every game. So there's one conference in college hockey that has a supervisor in every game just because they can afford it. Right. We don't necessarily have that. Yeah. Hockey East?
Hockey East, yeah.
Hockey only has Grav and Murph.
Yeah.
It's the NCHC out west. I worked for them for 6 years. It was the best. I loved having someone there because it was a support system, right? So it was more like they had our backs, and then they whatever, like keep like the liaison between the coaches and us, right? And so like I'm the supervisor of officials in a D1 league, so like I watch a lot of film and I'll send clips out and give them feedback that way. When like there's certain calls, coaches will call me, complain about something, I'll go take a look at it, review it, and then walk them through why it was missed or why it was a minor and not a major. They're like, "Well, my player got hurt," and I'm like, "Well, unfortunately, it's still just a minor penalty because of the way whatever, right?" Right. And you just kind of explain it to them that way. But
how many of those games do you see? So your D1 games, right, on any given, say, Friday, right? You've got how many D1s? You got maybe 20 games going, right? Right. You can't watch them all.
No,
So how do you select?
Well, I'll focus in on one game, or if I'm at a game, I'll watch that, and then in between periods, I'll go back and just watch like a little bit of each one, and then like the next day, I'll catch up on things, like the next morning. But like Saturday, for instance, we had a game start at 4, game start at 5, game start at 6, game start at 7. It was friggin' awesome. So I just sat there and I watched pretty much every single one of the games, because once the first period ended on that one, I went and watched the first period of the next one. So, and then I went back. So it worked out. It doesn't work out like that too much, but it was a long Saturday night.
Right. Cool.
But yeah,
I never knew. I always wondered how that worked. You know what I mean? Because
So then, like after the game, like I have every referee call me. So like I get a little pulse of what happened in that game. They give me a little summary, a little breakdown. So if I have to go take a look at a couple of situations, I'll go and pinpoint those and go watch them.
So who's doing this in the NHL right now?
So they have a wall room.
Can you get that job? You sound like you know what you're doing.
No, that's why he won't get that job. And that's why him and myself are in the refereeing in the NHL.
So it's actually former NHL referees are in there, like Steve Lego and a bunch of guys are up there. So like they're in there watching. So they got the big wall room with every single game on it. And it's, whatever happens, they call in and, they assess it. So, like, this weekend, we're getting together with all the supervisors and we're going to the Big Ten office in Chicago. And we're going to actually do that. It's their war room. And we'll have one main game on, like, say, like BC. You say BC's playing BU, right? Or North Dakota's playing Denver, right? Like, those are big games. And we'll have that, and we'll watch that, and then all the other games will be on, and we'll just kind of break down rules, have discussion, and talk about situations. And usually on a Friday, Saturday night in college hockey, you'll have like a big hit or a situation where it's like, fuck, that's a goal situation. It's a goaltender interference play. You two might have goaltender interference. I'm saying, oh, I got a good goal, right? And then we'll all discuss it and break it down and come to a consensus. So it's pretty cool. Well, we put a lot of time into it. Yeah. We meet like once a month as supervisors in all the conferences with the NCAA, and break down film and how the game's called, and we discuss on like what the coaches are feeling or what's trending in your leagues or what's concerns, and let's make it better. So,
goal judges are part of that equation as well.
Goal judges are kind of non-existent. They're just throw the light on, or they're illuminators now with video replay. So video replays kind of made that job mute.
Right.
Yeah.
So you could, all intended and purposes, you could do away with the goal judge and just do AI or whatever. Right?
Well, yeah, basically it's the eye in the sky, but
eventually I think they're going to go to like some type of grid, laser grid.
Yeah.
So if the puck completely goes over, they've talked about that.
They
for a
have
couple
talked
of years.
about that, yeah.
And
but it's like it's not like football where like if it just breaks the plane, it's a goal. Like the whole puck has to cross the line.
Right. Yeah.
So it's been brought up saying like, hey, what if the puck just touches the plane? Is that a good goal?
Yeah.
Like that's hard in the air.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big fan of completely taking the human element out of these games. Because I think that is part of the game as well.
I agree with you. I hate replay.
Even like in baseball
Going on my
and
side.
stuff. Like, I think that sometimes the video replay can. You know what I love now is when you watch like a football game, right, and you can see the network trying to get involved in the referee decision, right?
Yes.
They'll fucking keep playing it over and over.
Yep.
Knowing that, somebody on the sideline is going to be like, hey, we might want to look at this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And it's like, but it's so apparent now. You didn't see it.
Yeah.
And it's just
over
like,
and over.
It's like, come on, just, do what you're here to do. You're here to cover the game. You're not here to persuade the officiating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're not here for your input. We're just here for you to, tell me some shit I don't know and fucking,
Oh, when I'm at games and supervising, like, I hate the no control thing, right? So, like, I have no bearing on the decisions they're making. So, like, when you're watching a game and they make a poor decision or they frig up a rule and you're like, it's the worst. And I'm in a press box and I have to watch. Like, my boss has called and told me, she was like, remember, you're in a press box and you might want to just watch what you say. And I'm like, I get animated and I'm like, what the fuck? I slam my pen and I'm fucking pacing, right? So it's like, I get into it. So
yeah, I love when they always have the referee or the rules analyst on as a commentator. And I love when they're
wrong.
Well, when they're wrong, but I love when it's clear that the guy's right.
Yes.
And they fucking make the other call.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's wrong. They're making the wrong call.
Yeah.
Right.
And the guy's like, oh, no, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what frustrates you because like, how are they fucking this up?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to be, and not just in hockey. I mean, it seems like a lot of sports today, not so much, I don't really watch a lot of basketball, but in football too, you see some of the guys, even like college games, you're like, have you guys done this before?
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
And like, I think a big thing in sports nowadays is like, what used to be a penalty years ago is now a penalty.
Right.
It's like all player safety. It's all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And it's like college hockey actually did a good thing this year where we're not getting rid of the players anymore. They made some changes where we're keeping the student athletes in the game. We're not necessarily, but we're still protecting the head and still protecting, penalize the violence, right? But some kids were getting thrown out for stuff that it's like, come on, really? And like college hockey, you only get so many games, and then those things add up and so forth and so forth. So,
well, like that Kepke hit we talked about, that was a great hit 10 years ago. Like there was no, we talked about it the other night. There was no head contact.
Right.
It was an elbow. It was a charge. It was whatever. If you smoke someone in the head with your shoulder, no one even blinked.
Right.
Whether there was a carcass on the ice or not,
drink.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely changed for sure.
Yeah.
like that was it. The Stewart hit, right? Was it Mark Stewart who got lit up, got the concussion from the Bruins?
Cook?
No, it was Stewart.
Hit him?
Yeah, Cook hit him.
Yeah,
yes.
Mark Stewart.
Yeah, Mark Stewart. Yeah. like that hit there. That's what kind of started that whole head contact. Let's start to protect it. I mean, he never
Are you
played
thinking of
again.
Mark Savard?
Savard.
Savard. I was gonna.
Why did I say Stewart?
Stewart.
Yeah, Mark Savard.
Yeah,
Stewart
Savard.
doesn't sound
Yes,
right.
not Stewart. Savard.
See,
Thank you for
but
correcting
the
me.
problem with-
Jesus, yeah.
The problem with the Savard thing was that he was misdiagnosed.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a physician, but I know people who are physicians and who work in that space, and they say that
all right.
that if he had been properly diagnosed, and like I
would've-
say once again, I don't know anything about this, but
Right.
what my friend was saying is that if he was properly diagnosed, then they would have known and they would have done,
Right.
because it's like sensitivity to light,
Yep.
insomnia. There was a couple other ones that he told me too, but those are the signs. I went to a buddy of mine's lecture, who his study is in sports-related pediatric head trauma. I didn't know that it's a spinning of the brain in the cranium.
Yeah. The brain just floats. in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
it floats.
It goes
It's
just
like,
flames. And then what happens is your body goes this way and your brain goes this way, and it's like and that's
Or the
where
brain smacks up
or
against the
or
bone,
or it does
'cause
this
it's
in the
floating.
back. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I was in the company of some guys out west, and we were talking about hockey and blah blah blah, and that particular thing come up, and according to that physician, that he felt that he
Interesting.
was misdiagnosed. That if he had been, because he was a hell of a player.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Unreal.
Player, yeah.
Yeah. And the whole Matt Cook thing, Dale Arnold told a story about how they handled that.
Right.
When Matt Cook had to fight Thordy.
Yeah.
In the next game.
There's
He told a really cool story.
He's a great guy.
Oh,
Yes.
Awesome.
He's
He's the
You want
best.
to talk about a guy who just made a career on pure fucking self-will.
Yeah.
It's that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he told me a story how he was working a steel mill when he signed his first contract. Wow. They called him up and they're like, "Yeah, we want to sign you." And he's like, "Yeah, well, you're gonna have to call me at lunch because I'm working right now."
It's unreal.
Yeah, he's the fucking best.
And he wasn't the biggest guy, but he took on everyone.
Fought everybody, but he was that, he's that guy who he could put the puck in off my head as long as we win. He didn't care.
Right.
It was
Ultimate team
it
guy.
It was never a me show. It was always the teom.
Dale Arnold's book about him
Yeah.
is phenomenal.
I have a copy of it at the house.
Yeah,
Not that I've read it, but I have it.
Yeah, no, I listen to the books.
yeah,
I can't
yeah.
read. Well, I mean, I can read, but
Yeah.
I get
I
distracted.
play in Sean's. That's one of the golf tournaments. You get asked to play in these golf tournaments. That's one of the golf tournaments that I do every year because I just love that guy. He's such a good dude. And he just set me up with tickets. We went when we were in Florida. It was my son's birthday, and he set me up with 4 tickets down in the Panthers. Against the Habs.
Oh, wow.
So we went for the day, and we had a nice day. Went there, went to Capitol Grill at night for dinner and stuff. But yeah, Sean's he's a mensch.
That's awesome.
Oh, he's awesome. So, I mean, I think we could keep going on, but
Yeah,
this has been
Yeah.
incredible.
Shit, it's getting late here.
Just that, well, we never go short.
Yeah.
No.
Well, this is the
We never
first time
go
I've ever
short.
done a podcast where I had to
This
pick the
your
two
first
fucking.
one?
I had to pick the 2 fucking hosts up and bring them to the fucking.
Hey, wait a minute. You volunteered.
Usually they send a fucking car for me. I gotta go pick these fucking humps up and bring them up here.
What's
It was a
funny?
nice smooth ride, I'll tell you. It's not really a little bumpy.
You texted me and said, "Can I smoke? Do you mind if I smoke a cigar on the way up?" And I said, "Because you had said you want me to drive."
Yeah.
And
Right.
I said, "I don't care." And when you texted me that, I said, "No problem." Thinking,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'll drive because I don't give a fuck."
Yeah.
You got the kids.
Well,
My
and
car's
then
all
you-
shit.
Then you
Guys,
said, "I'll pick you up
I'm
at your
just dragging your
house."
balls. Don't get fucking
I was
sensitive
like,
on me, all
"What
right?
the fuck?"
We'll send you
gotta-
some money for gas.
Yeah.
We gotta be
We'll give you
careful.
another fucking T-shirt.
First of all, it's a quarter zip.
Yeah. And I'm stealing this fucking cup whether you like it or not.
I quiet it, Your Honor. I didn't steal nothing.
Yeah.
A funny story. I was with a buddy of mine. So a buddy of mine did the last couple of episodes of Jay Leno's tenure at the Tonight Show. So he calls me up. He goes, "Hey, why don't you come down and hang out?" So we go down, and so we're in the dressing room, and they have the segment producers come in and they ask her what you're going to talk about and stuff. So the segment producer is over in the corner doing the interview with him and stuff. So I look, and I see the cup that's always on the table, right? It says, tonight, so then a guest one on the back, right? So I go, hey, I'm fucking taking this cup, all right? He goes, yeah, I don't give a fuck, take it, it's yours, right? So the segment producer's there, and he goes, that's a great idea. That's a great souvenir, right? So my buddy goes out, does a show. We come back. When the thing, he's taking his makeup off. I'm in the dressing room, right? Segment producer comes in. He goes, hey, it's a great show, blah, blah, blah. He goes, yeah, thanks for helping us wrap it up, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I'm going to take this cup, right? The segment producer goes, I'm going to take this cup. I go, hey, put the fucking cup back. He tried to Hollywood me, right? Yeah. He heard me say I was going to take it, right? And he's like, who the fuck is this guy? Hey, I'm going to take this cup. I go, hey, put the fucking cup back, right?
Love it.
So my buddy, so the guy goes, oh, okay, because he's not used to people talking to him like that. He's like, oh, okay. He puts the cup back. I walk out, I grab my cup. We're leaving. My buddy looks at me, he goes, you didn't just tell the fucking producer to put the cup back, dude. I go, fuck him, the show's ending anyway. So I have the Jay Leno. I have a Jay Leno Tonight Show cup on my bedside table with my change and shit in it.
Love it.
Yeah.
We saw Boston Bob today. The World Juniors, they were played in Boston. I forget what year it was, but I was in high school, and my father,
Bobby Ryan.
Bobby Ryan.
Do you know Bobby Ryan had Boston Bob's?
He had Boston Bob's pro shop on L Street.
That I worked there. And,
Robbie Ryan,
I know it was Rat Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan. I was going to say, I should have said his nickname. I should have said his other nickname, Rat Ryan. The one
you just said his name.
Yeah.
It's funny. You go in Boston right now, you go Chappie, they go, yeah, you go Kevin Chapman. They go, who the fuck is that?
I was getting to Rat Ryan before you got. It was funny. But so my father ran all the off-ice guys for taking all the statisticians for the whole tournament and like opening and closing the penalty box door and this and that, right? So when Canada won it, my father got us in the locker room. We're celebrating this and that, and Gretzky's good luck letter was pinned up on the board. So Boston Bob grabs me, stand here, and I'm like, what?
What's
he goes,
stealing?
just stand here. And he starts taking he starts taking the letter down. And somebody sees him, comes over and goes, hey, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Fuck! He almost had it. It was like this close. But he used me as like a prop to get in front of it. He's like, he just saw Wayne Gretzky's signature on the thing. He was like, oh, I'm taking that.
I have a collection of different hockey. I have a Bobby Orr pinball machine.
No kidding.
Bobby Orr power play.
Pinball machine?
Yeah, the Bobby Orr power play.
Holy shit.
So when Bobby signed with Chicago, Bally is a Chicago-based company, and they wanted to create something to welcome him to Chicago. So they created the Bobby Orr power play pinball machine. So I saw one at the Hockey Hall of Fame, and I love pinball. And so I sought out this pinball dealer here in Massachusetts, and I told him what I wanted, and I told him I wanted it completely refurbished. So it cost me a small fortune, but I have one.
Worth it. That is worth it.
Sick.
And then I have, so I have that over here, and then over here I have an old chair from the Garden, signed by Bobby.
Nice.
And then on top of that, I have a stick signed by the entire team, the last team to play in the Garden.
No kidding.
So it's like on there is Cam, Adam Oates, Ray Bork, Glenn Murray,
Craig Janney.
Teddy Donato.
Was that the game they played? They played Montreal, right?
What was the last year?
The last year, whatever. I remember went to that last
94,
game.
95.
Okay.
So it says 94, 95 Boston Bruins, and it's got, Andy Brickley and
Sick.
Teddy D, and it's got the entire team. But back then, now when you get a stick signed by the team, it's kind of like a fabricated.
Yeah, it's not really real.
Back then they should just take a piece of white tape and run it down the side of the stick, and they pass it around the locker room when he signed it.
Yeah, they walk in, the sticks are there. And
Yeah.
I
sign,
have Don Marcotte's stick.
Yeah.
My Uncle Frank got it for me, and it's from like 78-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Peter McNabb and Brad Parks on there, Jill Gilbert.
Yeah.
But what they did was it's a wooden stick. They shaved, like they
sanded
sandpaper
it?
the
Yeah.
side,
Yeah.
and then they all
Signed
the
it?
side.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's pretty cool.
And it's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, so I think it was in 94, 95, I think was the last year that they played at the Garden. And then I have so I have a picture of the old Garden with the stick underneath it, and then I have the roster laminated on the side, so you know who everyone's signatures are and stuff.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
and then I got a bunch of I got like a oar stick and, Gretzky's and all that, Ray Bork and all that different stuff,
Yeah, no big
Ray's
deal.
another great guy. Ray's
awesome.
Ray's good.
great.
Yep.
I do some stuff with the Boys and Girls Club, and Ray, anytime I ever call him, he's always, he's always like, yep.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I saw Chris not too long ago. He was on one of my flights. He's scouting for Toronto.
Is he?
Yeah.
I don't know those
him.
boys that well. I play in Ray's another tournament that I play in every year. As
Okay,
well,
yeah.
for Bork Family Foundation.
I know Chris. I don't know
Yeah.
Ryan so much. I ref them
Yeah.
both in the minors, but Chris
Yeah,
was
I mean,
awesome.
I just know, like I say, anytime I've ever called Ray for anything, for a charity, to help someone, he's always, whatever you need, Chapman,
he's the
whatever
best.
you need, Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, the one
Him and his wife, very nice people.
at the Jamie Parker tournament, the Jimmy Fund tournament a couple of years back, I did the auction, and when we did Ray's thing, Ray came up and auctioned with me.
Yeah.
And it was like Ray Bork's auctioning.
Yeah.
But I did that one Bruins preseason game, Bork's last year, and I'm flying up the ice, and he jumps the boards, almost fucking kills me.
Really, yeah.
Right? So we go down, whistle blows, and he comes over, and he goes, "Hey, Stripe, sorry about that. I almost took you out."
Yeah.
I go, "Are you kidding me? You're Ray Bork."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "You can fucking take me out whenever you want." and he had a good laugh about it. But
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Great. Almost every hockey player is.
Yeah, I mean, hockey players,
Incredible.
they're the most humble and the most down to earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've had some
you
good
see-
ones. We've had
Yeah.
Derek Sanderson, Terry O'Reilly, David Jensen.
Yeah.
John Newberry. He was awesome.
Yeah.
Played for the Canadians back in the day. So, yeah. Well, the only, I mean, you've done 41 movies. Maybe you can do 42 and do my movie, Penalty Box. I have to bring it up. I want to get it on tape.
Yeah.
But no, I'm going to send it to you and check it out because we actually wrote roles for different people. And you were actually one of the guys we thought of for one of the coaches. And so I'll let you give it a read and see
Cool.
what you
Love to
think.
read it. Love to see it.
See if we can
Yeah, without a doubt.
get it made. Pat Shea. I
Yeah.
told Pat Shea is going to play me in the movie.
Yeah, I just did a film that Pat Shea was in, Shattered Ice.
Shattered Ice, yeah.
A small independent film that's shot locally, and the way I got introduced with is that I have a dear friend, Michael O'Malley.
Oh, yeah.
Who was on Yes Dear,
Yep.
and O'Malley called me up because I can't do this movie. He's like, go help these kids out, and I was like, I'm not doing nothing. They sent me the script over, and I was like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, they're good kids. Yeah.
Yeah, Pat's
Yeah,
great.
nice kid.
The guys he worked with.
As a matter of fact, I have to do ADR for tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, actually. So, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, Pat. We were in Pat's Full Ride YouTube show. I was the
Oh, yeah.
coach. Played the coach.
I knew Pat's dad. I grew up with
Yeah.
Pat's dad, so that's,
He's good people.
Neil was a good dude.
Yeah, we love Pat.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this has been awesome.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having
Chappie,
me.
this has been
Thank
And
you.
I hope
unreal.
I hope you do episode 147 next time I see
You know what? I hope we do.
Yeah.
And I think I told Dave Russo he was going to be on episode 147.
Yeah.
He always asks, when am I coming on?
Yeah.
Episode 150. What are you on? 42. Just to bust his balls.
He's a good guy.
No,
Yeah.
we love him. But Chappie, thank you very much.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Been awesome. Kevin Chapman, our guest.
Thanks.
Check out Bookie and all the other things he's been in. I'm not going to try to name them all, but there's been a bunch. And now he can add Chirping Zebras to his resume.
Yeah, hey.
Yes.
Which is,
I got to drive them home and I get a free cup. Lucky me, huh?
I'm going to have to order another one now from Vista.
Well, I want one myself, so order a couple more.
I'll sprinkle the infield with the cups. But that's going to do it for episode 47.
The Tory Krug
The
episode.
Tory Krug episode 47. Want to thank the Referees Crease, our sponsor. Want to thank AOA Studios, and Mike, Cam, and Z, and all the boys here. They do a great job in Beverly, AOA Studios. Want to remind you to find us on the social medias, the Facebook, the Instagram, the TikTok. Find us on those and like and subscribe on YouTube. We got to get to 1,000
Yes.
subscribers.
Yeah, and make
That's
sure
the
you
key.
go to my Instagram, the Kevin Chapman, because I will be auctioning off the shitty T-shirt that these guys give me.
It's a quarter zip. It's a goddamn quarter zip. Those are our most expensive items.
I want to know how much
On
money
the
you can auction
website.
that off for.
Right? Well, go to our website, chirpingzebras.com, and you can buy a shitty T-shirt we're going to give him. I actually set your son up with a hoodie, a T-shirt, a knit hat.
Whoa.
I'm taking them all fucking back. How's that sound? No, I'm kidding.
And you're fucking walking home.
Tell them to wear them at Skills.
Yeah. Tell him.
Wear them in the
All the kids are bachelors.
Here we go.
Like and subscribe for sure. As always, our endings never go like we planned. But that's going to do it. Episode 47. Chappie, Kevin Chapman, Gino Binder Jr., Mark Riley. We'll see you next time right here on Chirping Zebras.
Cheers.